Hello, hello, beautiful ladies. Welcome, welcome. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot that my dang camera holder is messed up. Better write a note to myself to have one of the children fix it, because I'm just not strong enough. How sad and pathetic is that? Oh my goodness. I can't unscrew it. Wait, let me try something. Hold on, girls. We're going to try a little something. I do have some needle nose pliers in here. Maybe. Oh, jeez, don't even ask. Maybe that would help. Oh. All right. Crash a boom bang. Find the pliers. Okay. Can't find the pliers. Oh my goodness. Here they are. They were right next to me the whole time. I'm going to see. Maybe I can do it with this. Do I get enough? No, there's no way. Forget it. Forget it. We're just going to leave it the way it is. I'm so sorry. Sorry about all that. Welcome to Tuesday, March 11th. We're going to do some art journaling. Let me grab you guys and see who's here. See if I can catch any comments. I have all these art journals. Well, actually, these are about the same. They're square, but not much difference in size. Usually before I art journal, I pull out my journals before I work in an art journal. I pull them all out and then I decide, like, what scale do I want to work with? Do I want to do big? See how much bigger this one is than this one? Do I want to do big? Do I want to do little? And when I was looking for my journals, I found this book that I had started covering just to make it a pretty altered book. And I realized I did it backwards. Here's the front. That should be the front. And that's the back. I can cover that up again. But I have not worked in a book like this in a long time for an art journal. So would you want me to do something in the book, library book, or in one of the traditional art journals? You tell me. Hey, Lori. Hey, Rusty. Good morning, Vicky. Hey, Callie. What's happening, girls? What's happening? My screen, when I'm going to look for comments, went completely black. Why? Why is that, Facebook? Come on. Hello, darling. How are you, Jolene? Thanks for being here. That is not a tissue. It's just a rag for glue and stuff. I know I looked up on camera and that looked terrible. But it just is. It's just a rag. Okay. I'm feeling loose. Did anybody see my Podia? My Podia post. We have that community on Podia. Everybody who joined Podia, we have a chat room there for us that we haven't really been using. So I thought I would test it out this morning and post in there and say, hey girls, I'll be live in the Craft Therapy Club today for art journaling and I'm feeling kind of loose. I'm hoping you guys will reply in Podia so that I know who saw it and who didn't. How many of you are seeing that? How many of you are not? So anyway, I did post that there. I'm feeling loose. Like I want to just create loosely. I don't know. I'm adjusting the camera, as you can tell, because this thing is just driving me batty. It's not where I want it to be. I'm just trying to adjust you. Come on. I really want a new camera holder, but girls, don't want to spend the money, if you know what I mean. Traditional. Traditional what? What does that mean, Jolene? Getting ready to leave it this afternoon for San Diego. My daughter is having surgery on Friday, so I'm going to be with her for 2 weeks. So that's a good thing that you're doing that, Lori. You have a good background, you know, professionally to help her, but your mama heart, it would, I'm sure, make you feel better being there, and she'll feel so much better. So blessings for her on her surgery. I hope it's routine and it's going to go easy and well. Hey, Jenny, how are you? Janet Feeland is here. Hello, friend. Hello, hello, friend. I'm trying to read comments. I better, you know, girls, why don't I have a notepad next to me right now so I can take notes? Why don't I? Somebody tell me. Why is Gracie not together? All right. I'm taking a note here. Things to do. Boys fix camera holder. Lori's daughter on Friday. Surgery. So pray for Lori's daughter on Friday. Got it. Jillian, you want to see me work in this book? I want to see what I do to try to prep these pages. This book is Mary, a novel by Vladimir Nabokov from our local library. These are sticking together a little bit because whatever glue I put on the outside to decoupage these on, that's what that's from. So they're, you know, kind of stuck to one another. All right, Jolene, since you're the one who commented, I will do what you asked, my friend. I didn't see any other requests or suggestions. So instead of focusing only on a junk journal spread or art journal spread, let us look a little bit at how to alter this book to make it an art journal. And normally what I do is I do it as I go. I don't, some people will alter the whole book and then start journaling in it or creating in it. And some people call it a creative journal, not an art journal. Some people do glue books or smash books. I mean, there's so many different ways to think about that. But let's just, I'm going to try, okay, we'll talk about this in a minute. Let's just get it started. So for me, personally, it's totally up to you. I like to keep this because I like to see the origins of the book. It makes me happy to know that I'm turning this novel into an art journal. Now, I just have to decide, translated from the Russian, by so-and-so. I have to decide, oh, it was a donated book. I kind of like to see the history. Decide what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. Well, these are really stuck together, these two pages. Copyright 1970. This is a sweet little, I actually could cut that out and use that on a page. So I'm going to pull this out and keep that. So I could use that quote somehow, somewhere. So I guess I will keep this. And I kind of want to keep that. I don't care about anything else. So I could tear these out. Doesn't matter. Right, use them for something else at some point. I want to keep these two at the beginning, and then I'll start making art journal spreads. So a couple of things. Let me go get another book and show you something. So these are two other novels that I turned into journals. This one I decorated the cover, this one I have not. Okay, so they're just two books that I got that I turned into journals. If you look here, the page, you see how wonky the pages get from all the liquid and the liquid and gel mediums that you put in here, and then they get thick because like this page I have burlap and I have chipboard and like thick die cuts in there, so the pages are going to get wonky. That one is probably more wonky. No, not really, than this one. They're both equally wonky. Well, that one's probably a little more. But what I do, if you look here, there are more pages than I leave in the book. We're gonna tear out some pages to make room not only in the binding, but here we need a lot fewer pages so that this book doesn't get totally whacked out and plump and full. So I remove pages as I go. So a couple of considerations with that is, what kind of binding is it? Hey, Diana Barker. How are you? Rusty says book. Do a book. Do a book. We're going to do it, Rusty. We're going to do it. I'm looking back at comments. I mailed your swap page yesterday. I hope you like it. Oh, you guys are so cute. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so a couple of considerations. I will look and see what kind of binding does this have in the first place. Is it glued or is it sewn together? So I kind of take a look here and say, this one looks like it's glued. So the way I can really know is if I were to find the center of one of the signatures. This just takes a little bit of study, meaning you have to just study your books. You have to just study. I'm looking for something to point with in here. Like that. Is it glued? Is it sewn? Sometimes they're both, but I'm going to try to find one signature. Hold on. Peel this back and put on my readers because I can't see so good. I'm trying to put it in the middle of the table so you can see, but I also need to see. So let me just hold on a second. So I'm going to try to separate the pages so I can find the center of one of the signatures. And it appears to me, I'm really pulling the pages apart, but I am looking. Let me get a pointer, a better one. I'm looking right in here at how the pages are put together in this book. Okay, I think that this signature starts here, about there. So I think, from what I can see, and what, oh yeah, it starts right there. I can tell. So now I'm looking to see, it's definitely glued some right in here. But actually now when I do this, you can see it's actually sewn too. It appears to have some sewing here. If there is sewing, the way I'll know that is by going to the center of the signature. Just like when we put our books together, find the center and look for the strings. Sometimes they're so tight, it's difficult to see. Yep, there's a string. I actually colored that because I've done this before to check on this book. There's a string. So this signature, that's the center of this signature. It is both glued and sewn together. That's good because with it being sewn together, it means the pages are likely to stay together more easily. Now, you know, when we take a bunch of pages like this, we fold them in half, we poke holes, and we sew it into our book. Now, there's 6 pages. Logically, if I flip, this is, say this is in a book with lots of other pages, like 50 pages. If I flip to this second page and I tear out this page, I don't want to bend this because of this. I want to keep that. I don't care about these two, but I want to keep that quote. Okay, if it's like this, and I open it up to a random page and I tear out this page, the sewing is here. Likely on the other side, this page is going to fall out of the book. So when it's sewn together, it is in your best interest most of the time, if you're going to tear out this page, to find the subsequent other page on the other side of the signature and tear that out too, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense to you. Some people don't get this technical about it. Some people get super technical about it. So when I look at this signature has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't consider this part of it because this is connected to this. These two are connected to each other. So what did I say? 8 pages. Okay. So every single signature in this book should have 8 pages, right? I mean, in theory, they're going to all have 8 pages. So let's do this. There's the center of this signature. I'm just using my scraps over here. Here's the beginning of that signature. Now, you will watch some people when they take apart their books. they're going to go through here and they're going to count every 8 pages. They're going to get to the center of that signature. 4, 5, 6, 7. Technically, each 8 page should be the center of a signature. That one is not. So you got to find the center of every single signature if you want to be this technical about it. Here it is. Yeah, it's here. And then if you're going to tear this page out, which is this, here's the center. If you're going to take this one out, then you should take this one out, because they're literally connected to each other. There, you can see it right there. You can see it coming apart. I don't usually get this technical. You guys know me. This technical, super rigid way of creating, is that the center? Super way of creating drives me batty. And I don't care that much. I literally don't care that much. Oh, here, no, is that the center? There it is. There's the center. Why did I feel like, okay, so if I pull on this, there's this signature. And here's the center. So I should be pulling out, if I'm going to pull out page number 2 over here, then I should pull out page number 2 in the back, because they're connected technically. You guys, I don't do this. Some people do. I don't normally do this. I gotta, because look at how much time and effort it takes to study all this, figure out your center, tear out the right page. Oh my gosh, it drives me batty. But if it matters to you, so we got to figure out, one of these pages is standalone. It's just kind of back here hanging out without its partner on the other side. Here it is. This one right here is the other half of this one. So I should tear it out. Now, see how it's still sewn in? Even though I tore this one out, it's still sewn in. This is why I don't get too worked up about this. Some people get very, very technical about this. They'll find every single signature and take out the 2 attached pages from each other. I don't. I usually count 3, tear out 3. So my method is this. I'm keeping those 2. I count 3. 1, 2, 3. I tear out 3. 1, 2, 3. Count 3. Tear out 3. This is how technical I get. All of these will get, there's 2 of them there. All of these will get used for something. That's how I do it. Okay? It doesn't matter. If you want to be technical, you can try out the technical method. I showed you kind of in theory how that all works. But I'm going to show you why I don't think it matters, because after I tear out 3 pages, I'm going to glue some together. And by gluing the pages together, they seem to stay in my books just fine. So here I want to keep the first page. These are the 3. And then I tore out 3, and then I have 3. Now look what happened. This is what people are trying to avoid. I was really pulling on this. So I think the only reason that happened is because I was pulling on this to show you where the signature was. That doesn't normally happen to me, but what I would do now at this point, look at these all, I'm just going to tear them out. They all just came out. I'm not going to worry about it. We just need to make more room in here for these pages to get thicker. We just need more room. So you have to take some of the pages out when you're using a book to make it an art journal. So what I do next is I glue some pages together. Oh, I'm missing all kinds of comments. Let me go back. Janet says I can't comment at all. Well, we can see you, Janice. Anyway, Janet, I mean. I love it already because it's from you. Oh, okay. I already saw that one. Safe travels, Lori. Good morning, Ginny. Oh, you guys are so cute. I'm so sorry I was in a lot of pain and just couldn't get on. I missed you all terribly. Oh, Ginny. I don't like to hear that you guys are suffering. I'm sorry, friend. Yeah, Jolene, right? Jolene says I would not take time. This is an art journal, not a junk journal. I mean, well, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, but I consider this would become my art journal. that is no fun to me being that technical. But if it makes you, like, something like that would make my sister so excited, because she loves precision, and she loves for things to be symmetrical. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't really matter to me. So there's nothing wrong with doing it symmetrically and technically. It's just not my jam. So if it's your jam, do it. Jolene says it's not my jam. Hey, Lori Thine. Hey, Stephanie. Okay, so I'm keeping these because I like them, just because I want to know what the origin of the book is when I finish this book. I tore out 3 pages. Now the next 3 pages we're going to glue together. Okay, I have done this with a glue stick. I have done it with like a liquid glue, just like, you know, like a bottle of liquid glue, like that. This is my, we'll do 2 different things. This is my book glue that I love so much. It is made for bookmaking by Line Co. I actually really love this glue, so let's use this one first. And then I'm going to show you my favorite way of gluing the pages together is with a matte gel medium, and I'll tell you why. But let's do this first. So I wanted to keep this. I don't care about this. So these are going to get glued together. Okay? Along with 1, 2, these 2 pages. So these are all going to get glued together. This will be a journal spread. And then we're going to glue 3 pages together. Okay? This is kind of how I do it. So we're just going to start by applying some glue. Can you guys see this real well? My lighting is terrible, but I think for you it might be working. So this is what I do. I'm going to apply a bunch of glue here. It's up to you how, like, I don't know how thorough you want to be about this. It's not my jam. Again, it's not my jam, but I applied a whole bunch of glue, liquid glue. I'm going to close this, and I'm just going to push these together. Okay, you're probably going to have some oozy glue. So if you do, yep, which I do over here, I'm just going to take my little glue grabber, my little paper towel, and grab that glue out of there. And I'm trying to get these to stick together. They're going to be rather wet, so they'll probably get a little wrinkly. But now I have my two pages stuck together. Now, can you see? It probably is easier to see it down here. Can you see that, like, it's bubbling up a little? It got crinkly down here. It's from the liquid glue. See that puckering? Doesn't bother me in the least. For some people, that really bugs them. So if it bugs you, I would highly recommend you use matte gel medium, because you'll reduce that some. And then to get that to really work its way out, use something flat to make sure you don't have bubbles. You're going to let this dry, and then you're going to close your book, put something heavy on it, and it's going to flatten your pages really. It's going to flatten them pretty well. Again, I don't. That's just too much fussy for me, so I just keep going. I mean, it would just take forever. If you had to do that between every single page, it would take forever and a day, and it's just not worth it to me. I want to get to the fun, creative part, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to close it this way, because when I close it this way, the center, the heaviest part of the book is here, because I'm at the beginning of the book, so it pulls. So I'm going to close it this way because the book spine tends to want to stay upright this way, just because we're at the beginning of the book. So the bulk of the weight is at the back. So I'm going to work with the bulk of the weight and fold it this way, and we're just gluing it together. So you can use a glue stick. You can use liquid glue. You can use matte gel medium. You can use Mod Podge. Some people use Mod Podge. Oh, that's the page I just glued together. Use whatever you have on hand. It does not really matter. Don't get too worked up over it. You know me. I miss my corners all the time. So let's just reinforce my corners and edges. I have art journal pages in these 2 books that I made art journals where the corners are not totally connected. It doesn't matter to me, because I'm not. If you want a really, really neat art journal, buy an art journal with mixed media or watercolor paper, and then use that, because your pages are all put together. There's not going to be any wrinkles and crinkles. I really love using old books and turning them into art journals. I love the They feel loose to me. They feel more artistic to me. I love the fact that I'm using an old book and turning it into something pretty, because I love to use junk in my creativity. I also love to honor the book by keeping these first couple of pages. Some people don't do that. They cover absolutely everything because they don't want to see that, but I like to see this. Okay, there's my first 3 pages glued together. And ideally, you're going to let that sit and dry completely before you start creating on them. But I have 3 pages glued together. My edges are not glued well. They just aren't. It's okay. If you want all of this stuff to stay put, you're going to close this book and walk away for an hour and let it dry and then open it back up. It's probably a good idea to put parchment paper on either side, so if there's oozing glue, it doesn't stick to the facing pages. But again, I just don't get that technical. This will be an art journal spread. So now I'm going to take 3 pages. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to glue these together. And it doesn't matter. You can do 4. You can do 5, you can do 2. I kind of do 3 or 4. But again, the number doesn't matter. Just make sure you're pulling out pages as you go so that as you're building these pages, you have enough room for everything in your book. So these 3 pages need to get glued together. Okay. I'm going to use matte gel medium. It's basically this. I have this little bottle, this old bottle that I'd like to use up, so I'm gonna use this one. You can apply it with whatever you want. You can use Mod Podge this same way. Like, I just want to use this up. I don't want to throw it out. I don't love this product, but I want to use it up and I don't want to throw it out. So now I'm using this rubbery spatula thing and I'm going to spread this out. I think that the matte gel medium, because it's not a true liquid, it's kind of a gel. It is a gel. It's thicker. I just think it leaves my pages a little bit smoother and I get better application. Like, I get more, you know, when I put this down, I should put the cover on that. You saw me kind of wiggle it around like this. It doesn't have absolute full coverage on the page. It's just lines of coverage that spread out a little when you close the book. This is absolute full coverage. I'm covering the whole page, edge to edge, with a gel medium. And then I'm going to close the book. And I just think it gives more, I think it's smoother. I think it's more precise. The pages don't seem to buckle as much with a gel as they do with a liquid. But like I said, the liquid works too. You can use your liquid and be just fine. So again, I'm going to close it this way because I want the weight of the book, which is more toward the back, to work with me. And I'm going to use my little flat thing here. You can use anything that's flat. And I'm going to push them together. Okay, so those are stuck. Now look at, I did a terrible job on my edges. Imagine that, girls. Give me more. Give me more gel. I did a terrible, terrible, terrible job on those edges. Did I do this one too? No, that one I got. That one I got. But see, it's still buckling a little bit. The pages are still getting that wetness and buckling a little bit. But I do find I kind of like the results of a gel medium better than a liquid glue. So you're just going to do the same thing for 3 pages. This is it. And then you have a space to journal on. Good morning, Wendy. That's what I did. That's kind of what I did, Rusty says. The book I'm using is just for whatever I feel like. Good. I'm glad you have that freedom. So the nice, I will say this too. If your money is tight, for me anyway, psychology-wise, like brain thinking, like the way my brain works, you know, some of these books that I use to make into art journals, I got for free or really inexpensive. Like, I'm not taking a book that I spent $22 on to read from Barnes & Noble or wherever you buy your books to read. I'm taking a book that I got at a yard sale for $1 and I'm painting the pages. So it's just whatever. There's not a lot of pressure to do anything specific on those pages. Whereas when you buy an art journal and you spent $25 to $30 on it, I feel personally, I just feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ruin it. So I feel more careful and more restricted for some reason. Like in my mind, because I spent so much money on it, I'm like, man, I don't want to ruin it. So I'm definitely more careful and cautious using that book, which for me personally hinders my creativity, because then I'm not like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever I want. I am super, super careful with those pages. It's just a psychology thing for me. It's just the way my brain works. Look at, drink, missed that whole section. Does it matter? Not really, but you might want to go back in and fill it. Okay. Now, I still miss my edges, girls. I still do. It's just how I roll for some reason. I usually end up having to do this at the end, still come in and reinforce those ends. This is very wet. It's very cold to the touch and wet. So is this. So did I do 3 pages there, girls? Was anybody counting? See that thickness? It doesn't feel thick enough to me for working on, in terms of putting, like if I wanted to paint on gesso and then use watercolors or whatever mediums I like to use, it just doesn't feel covered enough. What would help you, honestly, I always miss my edges because I don't want to get a ton of glue on these edges and have them stick together. So if you took like one of these, you know, one of your books, one of your like glue books, and put it underneath there, then I could get edge to edge really wet and I don't have to worry about it bleeding down onto the other pages and making a mess out of my book, like things that I have to unstick. So you could use parchment paper, like a crafts, you know, a nonstick Teflon craft mat, which I do have right next to me. I just don't grab them very often. Those would work. I do use them sometimes, but not all the time. So I just have this glue book with me all the time, so it just tends to be the thing that I grab quickest. Same thing. We're just going to glue down or put down a bunch of matte gel medium. I'm going to flip it toward the back because that's where the bulk of the weight is. That's where the pages are pulling more naturally. And then we're going to glue them down. No, I didn't tear my pages out even well because I still have like all this stuff sitting here that I could go through and tear out if you want to, if it matters to you. See, this process of doing this, the thickness of this is tugging on here, right? So when you see my book pages, they get kind of wonky. See how they're kind of wonky in here? It's probably because I had something layered in between there while I was creating to protect the page underneath. You see how they're kind of wonky in there? Right here. That's probably what that is. Okay, so now I have glued these together, journal spread. I glued these together, journal spread. Some people, not usually me, some people will continue with this process and do all of these pages so that when they open this book, it's all done. They don't have to think about gluing and tearing pages out, and then they can just keep adding journal spreads. I don't usually do that. I kind of do it as I go. So I would put a journal spread here, and then the next time I flip this open, I'm going to tear these 3 pages and then glue 3 pages together, or 4, whatever you decide. That's just the way I work. This is very, very wet, so I'm not even sure. I'm going to put a little air on it. All right, does anybody have questions about that process or anything you want to add when you do it? How do you do it? I usually do 3 or 4 pages. What kind of glue do you use when you do this? If you are already into this process and doing this, I'm sharing with you kind of how I do it. It's not a rule. Like I would always say, like, it doesn't have to be this way. Let me find my quote before I lose it. Where did I put my quote? I want that on top. These are all pages I can use for collage or whatever. I'm just going to put it aside so I don't lose that quote because I want to save it for something. Anybody want to add anything to that while I'm drying for a few minutes? Let me look at comments. Hey, Julie, how are you? What's happening, friend? I prefer using a gel medium to glue the pages together, but a glue stick works. Any liquid glue you have will work. Mod Podge will work. So usually a glue like that, like a decoupage glue, would work. This is a good way to use up what you have. So if you have glues that are just sitting around that you're like, man, I'm not using Mod Podge anymore. I like to use, I don't know, whatever you like to use, matte gel medium. But now you have bottles of Mod Podge that you're trying to use up your stash. This is a good way to use it up because it's just gluing pages together. I suppose you could use double-sided tape, double stick tape. Like you can buy that in sheets and cut it down to the page. You could do that. I've never done that. I like using a liquid medium, but I suppose you could. This is the side that's really wet, these two. I just want to dry them a little bit before we do an art journal page. You're getting more than you bargained for here. Because I wasn't really planning on doing this, but it's a good thing to do. Because sometimes you guys do ask, how do you turn a regular, novel or a book into an art journal? And that's how you do it. That's how I do it anyway. Stop it, you. I'm going to shut it off and my finger keeps slipping. Okay, now, should we do a simple art journal page here? Let me get rid of my matte gel mediums and put them aside. This process of tearing pages out and gluing them, it's a really good tired crafting thing to do. Like if you want to be in your craft space and you want to have that downtime, but you don't have the headspace to do something super creative from start to finish, it's a really good idea to just prep a book for yourself. Like I want to do something art journaling, but I just don't have if you ever feel like that, I just don't have the energy to come up with something original. To take that pressure off yourself, to actually just prep your pages and watch a movie or listen to music. It's just a nice thing to do for yourself that is me time, but not hugely committed, right? Yes, that's exactly what we're doing, Julie. So I have this old novel, library book. I'm tearing pages out and gluing them together to make another art journal like this. This was the same thing. This was a book. Let's see, did I keep the front of this one? I didn't. See, that bugs me that I don't know what this book was. So I do like to keep them. But this is an old art journal. That's a napkin. This is a napkin. That's a napkin. This I was just doodling. Napkin. Doodling. I made some pockets just because I felt like it. I mean, in a way, I put my two kids in there and I used a Chocator thing that said, love you. They're my boys. In a way, this is more of this one I'm using stickers. I don't need these. This is from 2021, you guys, this one. I don't personally feel like I need to call this book a glue book and then only glue in it. I don't create like that. That just puts, for me, it puts too much pressure on me, but some people do. They'll create a journal, a creative journal, an art journal, whatever you want to call it. They'll create a junk journal and then make that a glue book where they're just gluing in images that they like and creating around them. These are stickers. Okay. And these are gluing like, those little quotable words from Tim Holtz that they come as stickers. Coffee keeps me going until it's acceptable to drink wine. I don't necessarily do that. I have this is almost like a scrapbook page with my children. This is like what I would do in a junk journal page where I'd create pockets for putting journal entries or ephemera. This is a true art journal page where I just covered it, marked it up, created an image that I wanted to, and then I put some words that were on my mind at the time. This is a page that I was just practicing using these metallic waxes. Personally, for me, I don't feel like I have to do just one kind of thing on every page. I do all kinds of things, just whatever strikes me. I just put it down in my journal pages. See, hear that crispiness? I love it. In this book, I tore out a few pages. I glued pages together. Now, this one feels like I glued 2 or 3 together. This one feels like I glued 5 together. What is going on? Look at how many I glued together there. It doesn't matter to me. I don't feel like I have to have it. And this probably was because I glue as I go. I tear and glue pages out as I go. I don't do them all at once. This is incredible, you guys. This technique, this is saran wrap. use to make these, and this video is here in the group, how to use saran wrap to make these gorgeous backgrounds. So like, you could search probably saran wrap and find that video. That looks like I was playing with texture there. Be brave with your life. That's November 2021. So I like to have the freedom to do whatever I want in the book. I don't want to be limited. Like this book, I'm only using napkins or, you know, whatever. I just don't like to be limited. But you, if you want to determine, like this book is only for napkin crafting, and the other one is going to be my glue book, and then the next one's going to be my smash book, you totally can do that. It's just not the way I create. Hey, Debbie Nelson. Chandler, how are you? And I did say that earlier, like you can just buy a book. We did talk about that earlier, Julie. If you want to go back, I kind of told you where my headspace is with buying a book and then working in it. I have a different outlook on that. And I have both. I have books that I've purchased, and they're on the floor. I showed them earlier, that I've journaled in. And then I have books that I've altered to make into junk journals or art journals, creative journals, however you want to call them. All right, I'm feeling a little loosey-goosey. Like I just want to play with colors and with markers. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to end on a focal point or not. And given the fact, what time is it? That it's already, we've already been here for 45 minutes. I'm going to, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself for that, okay? I do want to put some gesso down. So if you want your book page to show through, clear gesso is a great choice for that. If you don't want them to show through, use a black. You can see on that other book, sometimes I use black gesso to have a black base. Sometimes I use white gesso to have a white base. Let's put, I'm just going to put some clear gesso on here because I want the book pages to show through. I don't want to lose my, I have a lot of gesso there. I don't want to lose my words here on the book page. I don't care about the edges. But the other thing is your products, your watercolors, your markers, your crayons, whatever you're using, your paints, they're going to, you're creating a barrier between the really absorbent paper that is really porous and absorbent. It's just going to suck up your paints and your markers. You're putting a barrier between the paper and your marker. So it's going to allow your products, whether you use markers, watercolors, crayons, it's going to allow it to work better because you've put a barrier between the porous paper and whatever you're using for your colors. So it's a good idea to put a little gesso down. Is it necessary? Heck no. Your products will work differently though. They definitely will work differently if you don't have it versus if you do. So gesso is a good idea. We're going to dry it a little bit. Yes, the dollar store is good. I do thrift stores a ton. I do thrift stores. I like to buy from thrift stores and support them. They usually support nonprofits or charity groups most of the time. So I like to do thrift stores and like tag sales or yard sales. I like doing those too. Let me dry this up. I could use paints. Could use my chubbies. I mean, there's so many things I could use here. I just usually go with what I feel like working with. I don't think much beyond that. Like, what do I feel like working with today? I don't know. I have all this stuff here and it's driving me crazy. I have this little, like tiered holder for my paints sitting there. And what I've been doing, unfortunately, is I've been using it as like almost like a letter holder, like a catch-all for all the things. Like, I don't know where to put this right now. So I'm just going to stick it right there. So then it's getting clogged up. So I'm pulling those things out of there so that I can put them away where they belong. And then I can see my paints, which are all sitting right here in this little tiered holder. Okay. So I'm feeling like I want to do something very soft. So I've got this heather, I've got elephant. I have some really bold colors, but I'm kind of wanting to do soft. This one's called Aloe Soft Colors, right? I think I'm going to do soft paints colors with some bold markers. I think that's what I'm going to do. But let's just see. I pulled out my my art prompt journal cards, but for this, again, for the sake of time, we're just gonna play. I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I'm gonna grab, where is my, hold on girls, I'm just grabbing a book that I can use. It's so bad. I have a paint palette here somewhere, and I think I'm using it just, not for what it's intended. I'm using it to store something. Let me look for another one. Let's use this one. It's dirty, but I'm going to use it anyway. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of each of these in here. I can always add more if I need it. I saw a woman. Oh, this one's kind of clogged. Come out, come out. My elephant is clogged. It's called elephant is the color. Oh no, this one's aloe. All right, let me get my unclogger. There we go. That didn't take too much to fix. I have this little pin here, and I have a couple of them, and I just, look at what I did. This came on a package. I think that Wendy Taylor, when you sent me that soup after I had my surgery, I think this was on that soup packaging somewhere. I think, if I remember right. And I just have it clipped over here, and I keep a couple of little pins in there for unclogging. It's just so handy to have it right there. Okay. I'm going to use a paintbrush. I'm going to use some markers, and we're just going to create. I may need a little bit of water, but instead of water, I think I'll just use my fluid medium to water these down just a little bit. Again, I might have a clog here. Hold on, girls. Wendy, I think that's from you, friend, when you sent me that delicious chili that you sent me after surgery. We enjoyed it so much. And there were, I remember it distinctly, snickerdoodle cookies were in there. They were freaking amazing. And they were big bread bowls. It was like one of the best things anybody's ever sent me. So memorable to me. Put a little bit of this fluid medium just to thin out those, because I want to be able to see my words. I stuck a pin in here, so just... I'm trying to keep it from clogging. Okay, so let's just play. Let's play. And a marker. So I saw a woman, I started to say this, I saw a woman use a marker to make some just like general marks on her page to start out, and then she built off of there. So I'm going to attempt it. I've never done this before, but I'm going to attempt it. Oh, this marker is chubby. Oh, I'm going to get the cover off. It is a paint mark, acrylic paint marker. It's very chubby. And so it gives you really big, see that? You can get really big, wide lines out of it. I should probably juice up that pad a little. It's a little bit dry, but I'm going to make some marks, and we're going to paint around them. Yeah, it's not very, the pad isn't very wet. But I don't want it to get super juicy on here and make it difficult to work. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And we're just going to start totally abstract with a couple of marks, and we're going to build from here. I got my black Stabilo all pencil to play with too. I don't know why. I'm just going to do it. Playtime. Color play. I think this is too big. Let me look for smaller brushes and mustache here. What are you doing there, little ruler? You don't belong there. It's funny when I find a supply, I'm like, hey, you don't belong there, friend. This. I took all of my little brushes off of my space right next to me because I had so many of them and they were taking up so much room. So, and I use them infrequently. So... my littlest brushes I ended up putting in here because I don't use them that often, and I don't need that many brushes next to me, truthfully. So That's what I did. That's a good one. Here are the really little ones. I should get 1 or 2 of these. I can always put them away when I'm done. Okay, lots of brushes. Anybody else going to be art journaling today? What do you got going on? How are you creating today, if you are? All right, let's start with some purple. Ooh, it's so thick. I don't want it that thick. I want it thinner than that because I want to be able to see. Now, if I hadn't put the gesso down, this would have soaked right into my words and I would not be able to change it, but I grabbed some of that Liquitex liquid medium and now I can make this more transparent. I can pull some of that color up. If I had not put the gesso down, I likely would not have had that freedom to do that. It would have just soaked right into those words. So we're just going to block color. And I don't know what. I don't know what. We're just going to block color and see what happens. We're just playing here. I need more liquid. I can already tell I need more liquid in here. So I might as well just keep this out with my paints. Because I don't want it to be full coverage. I want those words to poke through. So I think it's kind of fun. See? There, I went right into the paint and grabbed it, and it just covered up all my words, but now I can come with that liquid because I have that gesso there to protect the page. I can come in with that Liquitex liquid medium and just dilute that a little bit. We're playing. This is just play, and I wanted to be loose and not have too much pressure on myself. Just playing with colors and shapes. This can become a background for something more concrete later. So today I may just do a background. And then later on, maybe I'll add a focal point. Maybe I'll add a woman's face. Maybe I'll add an animal or a butterfly and a quote. But for now, I'm not going to worry about any of that. When I touch onto my black marker, it's smearing it, which I think is actually quite cool. Oh, I like it. So we're going to grab some of that. It's creating like a gray edge into my purple, which I think is kind of cool. Maybe I'll do that all over. Once you wet it and it has a second to kind of reactivate that acrylic, it's moving that color, which, oh my gosh, I kind of like it. Explore and play. Art journaling in that regard, like that happening. I wasn't expecting that to happen, wasn't thinking about it, but there it goes. It's happening. It's a great way to learn your supplies, like learn about your markers, your pens, your stamps, your ink pads, what they do and what they don't do, their properties and how they work together. I did not intend to do this much purple all at once, but here we go. I've just really, this feels very therapeutic to me. So I'm just going with it. All right, let's add a new color. Let's bring in a new color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it down. I'm not going to use it anymore, but I want to put it down. Whoa, I knew that was going to fall off my desk. I want to put it down on my little glue book so I don't get any on my desk. And I'm going to grab a different paintbrush and a new color. These colors are actually, the other two are kind of similar to each other. I might have to grab a yellow or something to get some more bright color in here. I may end up going over these initial black lines. They're just giving me a starting point to play with, and then they don't have to stay there. They don't have to stay there. We can color, like I can just go right over it. If I want to just switch this up totally, just paint right over it. Don't feel super blocked in by anything. Just play. Now, I do not want to get any color on these pages, so I'm going to put something in between. Teflon mat in between there because I don't want to go off the edge here and get it onto the pages below. You can use parchment paper, wax paper, something non-stick preferably, so it's not easy to get it. So it is easy to get it unstuck, you know, once the paint has dried a little bit on that craft mat, it's not going to stick too hard. You see, I'm not worrying. I could get a bigger brush and these streaks would be so much easier, but I'm not worrying about it. This is not about being technically right about how I do this. It's just about therapy. It's about playing with your colors and having fun and learning what your paints and your markers do together. Please don't stress yourself out about being so technically correct. Now, I got 3 colors on here. I'm going to start moving them into one another. And then probably adding some more marks. Now, I just dipped into only the Liquitex medium. It's going to activate this black line that I made with the marker. It's going to activate it and smear it into the colors on both sides, which I'm kind of liking the look of. I have other markers. Now this black here that I did not cover looks so bold. So I'm going to actually come over it and try to soften that up a little bit. They look like snakes on here. It's funny, isn't it? I'm going to put just liquid medium in the center here so I can just pick up the liquid medium without any added color. So I have one of those spots is just for liquid medium. I love how that makes that super smoky. Okay, this is so bright here. It's not blended with anything. It's just the purple. So it looks just wrong on the page now to me. I'm going to grab from somewhere. This isn't, I want white, but I don't necessarily want a white ink. I want a white that is thick. So I could use gesso, which is acrylic paint basically, or I could use, I have white gesso right here. I could use paint. I have my gesso right here. So I'm just going to use a little bit of white gesso. I'm going to put it in another, put a blob of that in another one of these spots on this little daisy. Hi, Debbie Fritz. How are you? She has a dentist this morning. Well, I hope it's good. Again, Landon has a dentist appointment today, too. He has to get a cleaning. I had mine last week. Glad to have it done. All right, this is just white gesso with a little, there is also a little bit of Liquitex medium on here. I'm feeling like I want to go into my markers and add something else, but before I do that, I'm going to come in and just add a little bright and something a little brighter here to these colors. You guys, this is truly, I'm not trying to make anything specific. I'm just playing. I'm looking at the colors, the way they're sitting on the page. I like that my words are showing through. It's kind of fascinating to me that my marker is smearing into my colors. This is not, like I said, an art journal page where I have an end goal in mind. Sometimes I say to myself, I want to do a butterfly on a page, and that's my end goal. That feels very different. The whole process of doing that, a butterfly on a page, is very different to me than just opening my book up and just playing with colors and having fun with it. We haven't even gotten into like what texture might do to these. I'm just talking about playing with colors and different ways of getting color on your page. I could grab some texture medium. That would be very cool. Right now I'm trying to just brighten up some of these spots with some white gesso. I do see some people when they have, my gesso is not thin, but it's not thick. People who have like really thick gesso use it for texture medium sometimes. So I could do that with this too. I could use this gesso and make some kind of texture on the page. But I just, it's a little harder to do this while on camera and talking to you guys, because if I were left, you know, without talking you through it, my mind may go to different places than while trying to talk to you and explain what I'm doing. I've been thinking about maybe doing some silent journaling video. What do you guys think about that? I've done a few of those in the past and I just got away from it. But recording my own art journaling session where I'm not talking to anyone, I know my mind would go to different places if I just have my own thoughts instead of thoughts and words coming out and trying to communicate that to you. So what do you think about silent art journal videos? SAV, comment SAV, what do you, and then tell me what you think. Do you like the idea of that? Have you seen them before? I love them. I love when an artist just records him or herself creating without any explanation. It just is very serene and relaxing to me, first of all, as a viewer. But I bet it's enjoyable for them as an artist too, because it takes the pressure away from having to explain. You're just doing and letting people watch you do what you want to do. Okay, I am going to grab a stencil and maybe a new color. So let's think here. I have this little bit of white gesso here, and I could color it with another color. But what I'm going to do first, before I do that, is I'm going to take some of it. I don't want to color that much, so I'm going to take a little bit of this white gesso and put it in its own little spot right here. And then we're going to color that with something. So trying to think, what color do I want to use? I have purple, gray, a little bit of white, a little bit of black. What color? When I get stuck with color, you guys, it is really nice to have one of these around. So I have purple. So here I'm purple. If you want to know, like, you can use any of these, see all those shapes in the center of the circle? You can use any of those to come up with complementary or opposing colors and work with them together. So I have purple, like it's a light purple. So let's see if we can find, here's light purple. So if I'm going to use 3 colors, I could take the triangle and put the head of the triangle at the light purple, because I already have that on my project, light purple. Then I could say something that would work with that would be greens or orange. Or, so that's a triad. If I want split complementary colors, I could use a yellow or this version of orange. This is a red orange. This is regular orange. So this can be helpful to you, a color wheel, if you ever struggle with, oh, I have pink, like pinkish purple. What works with pinkish purple? These color wheels can be super helpful to giving you a clue as to what may or may not work together. So I think we'll go with, I kind of want to use a blue. I kind of want to use blue. But this is telling me to use green or orange. Okay, Gracie, just go with it. Just go with it. I don't know. Just go with it. This is kind of greenish. It's greenish blue. It's peacock. Let's put a little bit of peacock in with my gesso. I'm going to color that. I got some gesso on my... SAV, I think it would be interesting. Jolene, you would want to see some silent, like just some action without any words. I kind of love watching someone do that. It just feels so relaxing to me. Okay, let's do this. Let's grab a shape. I'm going to just grab a shape that I like, or a stencil pattern that I like. I'm going to mix up that green with that white right there. Let's see if this is going to be enough of this. Let's mix these together. This is white gesso and that peacock green. So it's going to make it a lighter version. Remember, I was trying to go for like subdued colors here. Yeah, so that's much more subdued than the peacock than it came out of the... And actually, I'm going to try to create some texture with this. Where do I want this to be? Let's create some texture and then we'll dry it. So I'm going to splat this on here. The thicker you go, the thicker your texture will be. boy, I used up all of that. I thought I'd have some left over, but I don't. I'm going to scrape some off so it's not so thick. I'd rather have it spread out further than have it thick. So I'm going to spread it out a little further. And I'll pull this up. And it's so watered down. Look at it. I do have shape. I will show you. I do have some shape there, but it is super watered down. So I clearly need a thicker medium than my white. And I just bought this, you guys. This is new to me. This white gesso. I need thicker than that. So I could use my matte gel medium. That would work totally fine. Where's that bottle? I just put it away. That is thicker. I don't want to move that. I'm going to get a new tool because I don't want to move that. I don't want to lose my spot. That is so funny that it got that watered down. Let's grab some of this because it's kind of thick. See how much thicker that is? It's not even coming off of there. Let's see if we can mix that with some of that peacock and see what we get. I was going to use my teeth, but I better not. Speaking of dentists, the dentist would not approve of me using my teeth. Actually, if you wanted to have color, you wanted texture and then to have color, you could texture with just your matte gel medium or a thick gesso. My gesso just wasn't thick enough. And then you could come back in and paint it. You could paint over it. This is not changing the color because it's clear medium. Now, you see how when I used the white gesso with the peacock, I got that really pretty light colored peacock. This is hardly changing any color because I used a clear medium. It's still acrylic medium, as is the gesso, but this, it's because it's clear. It didn't change the color at all. It just kept the same color, and now it's peacock. So I'm going to try to grab some of this gesso and get it a little, just a little bit lighter. Let's try to grab some of that white gesso in there and get it just a little softer. So it's not, yeah, that's a little better. So it's not so bold a color. It's a little bit better, not much, but it's okay. I'm going to work with it. It's so much thicker. It's going to be easier to get that texture going. So let's put this down and then let's do this. Same color. It's the same color. It's just that one up there I mixed with white gesso, so it's really light. And this one down here I'm mixing just with gel medium. So it really kept the same color. There's a little bit of residual white gesso in there, so it changed some of it. This could be interesting. All right, let's see what we get. Much better. Much better. I am going to hold that up and show it to you, but let me do just a little more because I have some more left. And then I'm going to paint some of it on to add some color in other places. Let me see, how much do I have left? I have quite a bit. This is giving me more of the shape that I wanted of the stencil. All right. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Love it. You guys, this is for fun. I'm not even thinking about composition. I'm just playing with my stuff, learning what it does, what it doesn't do, how it works together, and just having fun. There doesn't have to be any more rhyme or reason. I should clean this immediately. I'm going to put this in water immediately because I don't want that, especially the texture medium, to get dried on there. I don't care if the color changes for the stencil, but I don't want the texture medium to crust on over my stencil shape. I want my stencil shape to stay the same. So I wiped it off. I mean, a little bit of the blue color is still there, but that doesn't bother me. Okay. I am going to hold this up so you can see this. Look at the difference we got. White gesso mixed in. It changed the color of the peacock paint, which is an acrylic paint. It changed the color, but it watered it down, so I didn't get that shape that I was looking for from the stencil. This is this heavy gel medium. So it's a heavy gel. You saw how thick it was. It's still an acrylic. So adding the acrylic paint to the acrylic transparent medium didn't change the color, other than the fact we had a little bit of gesso in that pot as well. It didn't change the color, but look at how much cleaner, because we used a heavy gel, how much sharper my stencil image is here than it is over here when it was mixed with that liquidy gesso. So we're dealing with color, and we're dealing with how thick it is. the viscosity, how thick the liquid is. We went from the liquid gesso to the heavy gel medium, and you do get very, very different results. I like this one so much more because it's just so much more uniform and, what do I call it? Defined. This is cool, but that is what I was going for. So today I'm more happy with that, but that is actually quite cool. In fact, I think I'm going to take, let me put this in the water so I can clean that more easily. I'm going to take a brush, take that same brush I was using earlier. I'm going to dip it into some acrylic medium, the liquid, and I'm going to come into the edges of this, and I'm just going to smear it a little. I'm going to make it more watered down before it dries, so that it matches a little bit more about what's going on there. I'm going to spread that color, and I'm smearing the edges. Do you see what I'm doing? And I'm putting it into that liquid acrylic so I can move this and spread it out a little more and make it, oh, I got a piece of hair, yuck. And make it a little more fluid to move it around a little. It almost looks like it's like sand that wants to blow away is kind of the thought that I'm getting with this. Like, it's like a cloud that's really thick in the middle, but off to the sides of the cloud, on the edges of the cloud, the wind is kind of moving that cloud and making it dissipate. If you ever look at the clouds for a long time. It's gonna more closely match what I have going on this side of the page. So let's do the same thing here. I'm just gonna spread this a little, the edges. If I wanted to also change the color of the edges, I could just go into the white gesso instead of just into the acrylic medium. So if I grab the white gesso, it's also going to change the color of these smears so that they're a little bit softer. It's doing the same thing with the liquid. I'm going to carry this color over onto this page and into the binding, or like into the center of the book. That's white gesso. Oh, I like it. It's so dreamy and abstract. And I was looking for loose play today, and that's what I'm getting, is some loose play. I want this to have a little bit more of this blue color, so I'm going to pick some up on my paintbrush and bring it to the middle here. I have no idea what this page will end up becoming. I'm going to grab just some of the blue and then white gesso so I can add some more of that color. I love this like dreamy effect that we're getting here. I want to do a little bit of this as well with what's going on up here. I'm going to take this color, it's not quite dry yet, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it down so it looks cloudy, because I really love that look in there. I love that super cloudy look. Do the same thing up here. I'm going to extend this smear of color and texture in the middle of the page, and I'm going to extend it out by grabbing some of that color before it dries off the edges and just pulling it into the other parts of the page. So I'm still dipping into white gesso. Or I could use the liquid medium, then I'll get no color, but it'll just liquefy that peacock paint and move it for me without adding any other white color. So you can do either one. Clear medium. Now I'm going to go into the white. Now I'm going to go into the peacock, just a tiny bit of peacock, and drop it there. And then I'm going to go into the white, and then I'm going to smear that color down here. Because I don't have enough. I don't want to take any more from here, and I don't have enough, but I want the blue color to continue down that line. So instead of trying to take it from there, I'm just going to take it from the blue in the art palette. I basically pretty much obscured totally my acrylic marker. Those black lines have totally been obscured, hidden. They're like really in the background now. They used to be in the foreground, but now they're really in the background. We could bring them back forward. I could come back on here if I wanted them to be really dark and bold, or with a thinner black marker and add, and I may end up doing that. The only part of this page that has not been touched by this really soft, cloudy thing that I'm going for is right here. Do you see that? Do you think I should leave that untouched, or should I cloud it? Cloud it or untouched? I would love to know. So Julene said she thinks it would be interesting to hear from doing the silent art journal videos. So SAV, silent. She's interested in that. I've been here the whole time, unable to comment. Something is going on. Oh no, really? Janet, I can see your comment now. Maybe make sure, Janet, that you have an updated, I don't know if you're coming on a tablet or from a computer or if you're on your phone. But if you're on a tablet or your phone, make sure that your Facebook app is fully updated, as well as your operating system on your phone or tablet. Gwen, you think I should cloud it up over here? Let's do it. I think I'll do, so that pinkish purple that I used, that heather color, it's really prominent down here. There's a little bit throughout here, and then nothing. It's just like gray up there. I'm just noticing when I pull my eyes away from any particular section and I look at the thing as a whole, which I try to do as I'm art journaling. I kind of like, I'm looking here and focusing on here. And then before I do anything else, I pull, like I almost make my focus go out and I look at the whole page as a whole. And I'm noticing I got a lot of pinkish purple over here, not over here. I'm going to grab some white gesso and let's re-wet this section, and actually some liquid medium just to get that gesso to move. I'm going to re-wet this whole section because it's not very big. So now it's wet. And instead of pulling from here, I don't think I want to pull any more from there. I think I'll go back into, I'm going to go into the white gesso, and I'm considering going into that purple. Should I do it? A little bit of the purple and clouding. Oh, that was way too much. I'm going to offload over here. That was way too much color. I want it to be cloudy. I'm going to go into the white gesso and that purple, and I'm going to really soften that purple color so that the purple is like a band in the middle. It's like that heather color. So I had already clouded out these edges, but to cover that up, that was so still remnant of the book page underneath. I'm using a little bit of white gesso, a little bit of color or acrylic liquid medium, and a little bit of that purple. Now I took too much of the purple away, so I'm going to come back in with a little bit more. And actually, should I cross the barrier here of that black line? Oh, I like it. I know, it's just so fun to play. What is this blue line right there? What is this? I don't like it. I'm gonna come in with some white gesso and try to obscure that a little. Go away, you. Clear off most of my brush. Why are you like that? White gesso. Oh, just a tiny bit of that blue peacock. More white gesso. I don't like that line that was right there. All right. Trying to get rid of that, some of that. Oh, guys, this is so weird. It's so weird. It's such an unusual thing. All right, I want to come in with some marker again, because now we have a really cloudy background going. It's already been an hour and a half, so I'm going to wrap it up wherever I am in the next few minutes. We're going to wrap it up, but I'm going to add some marks with some marker. And I told you, okay, so I told you, because we spent so much time, 45 minutes almost, talking about the book and how to make an art journal or creative journal from a novel, a book, and tearing out pages and the difference between a glued binding and a sewn binding, gluing pages together and the different glues that you can use to glue your pages together. We spent 45 minutes on that. Then I started playing with this big old chubby marker and some colors that I just wanted to play with those colors for whatever reason. Now, wherever I told you, wherever I landed, it may not be on a page that's completely done. It may not have a focal point. It may just be playing with colors and textures and leaving it at that. So I just want to point that out for anybody who's just coming in, that I didn't think that in the end I would have a finished page here, and I won't, just the timing. You know, I don't want to take up 2 hours of your time. Usually these sessions are about an hour, and we've already been an hour and a half almost. So what I want to do though is I want to come back with a marker, but not this big, thick, chubby one. I'm going to come back in with a marker, and I have Posca, these are paint markers. And I have them in a variety of colors. And sometimes for some of the colors, I have 2 of them because, oh, that's brown. I don't want brown. I have 2 of them because the tip on it, one of them has a bullet tip, one has a more fine tip. And that would matter depending on the kinds of marks that you want to make on your page, right? So I'm looking, I'm trying to find all of my, I actually have a teal one too, but I really want to work with black and white, I think. And you ideally want this to be dry. This section, because it was a thick acrylic medium, is still a little tacky. So I really don't plan on putting any marks on that anyway. What I think I'm going to do is reinforce these lines somehow. And I don't know. Hold on. I don't know if I want to make it really, really super bold, or if I want it to be softer. Hold on. These markers are in my way in my little holder, so I'm just, I knew I had another smaller acrylic black. Okay, what do you want to do, Gracie? Make a decision. I think I am going to come in and just do a really fine, oh, that's not even coming in all the way. Oh, there it is. Got to be careful with these pens. I'm going to come in and just, I want it to be super fine, but I think I might be a little heavier handed than I wanted there. I'm trying to be loose. I get really nervous because usually I'm not very precise. When I want to be precise, I'm not good at it. So I'm going to be more loose and let that be, because loose is easier for me. So I'm going to be loose and let it happen that way. All right. So we reinforce those lines. Now I think what I'm going to do is add new markings in here. Like if I look at just, where did my pointer go? I put it away. My little pointer. If I look at just this section in here, I'm going to put something in there, like some lines, some dots, something, and I want it to be kind of loose. This is just marks. We're just playing here. We're not worrying too much. And I'm going to continue to do that. So I have little sections, right? So this is a section. I actually could consider this a section and that its own section. I think, so I went horizontally. So here I'm going to go this way, and I'm just going to loosely add some lines. I actually have, when I'm trying to be loose, I have better luck if my whole arm is off the table. If I rest my elbow or I rest my wrist, then I screw up my looseness, truly. So if I can lift my arm totally off of the table and just, if I'm going for loose, then I want my arm to not be anchored. I don't think I'm going to carry this all the way over to the next page. I might just end right there. Before, I might do something in here, but before I do that, I think I'm going to take this white and go up here and decide. I do like it. It's really bold compared to the black, which I kind of like. You would need, absolutely, you need these colors around it to be dry. Otherwise, you're going to have a mix. It's not going to be pure white. It would be white mixed in with the teal, right? And that's not what I wanted. I wanted these marks to be pure white. So they really, really stick out next to that cloudiness. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do it down here along this line. Playing, mark making now. And then this feels so busy to me. I'm gonna soften this section up with some of these. And instead of going along the line, I'm just gonna fill in this whole section. You could use a stencil. If you had a polka dot stencil, you could use a stencil. I'm trying to be really loose about this. And this to me is so therapeutic. This filling in these little circles may seem silly, but if you're going for me time and you're going for art therapy, then loose can be the way to go. It can be really good for your brain, especially if in other places in your life, you have to be really precise and you're looking for a break from that precision. If you're an accountant, you do financing, you do bookwork, anything, you know, if you're a nurse, anything that, God, like there are parts of nursing, like medication dispensing medication, that would mean you have to be super precise. So if you need a break from precision, not using a stencil may be the way to go, because it's going to let you just really be loose. I'm going to do this same thing because I got white on 2 white dots on this side of the page and I'm loving them. So I'm going to do the same thing up in this section just to balance. They're all about the same size, like a little bigger or a little smaller than the end of a pencil eraser. Oh, I love that. It makes me happy. Black. So do I want to come back in? I wish I had a gray. I don't think I have a gray. I wish I had a gray marker, but I don't think that I do. I have metallics. I have gold metallics. I have dark brown. I have a tan. I don't have any gray. I wish I did. Darn it. I said that. I might write down on my list of things to do is to get myself a gray paint pen. Everything's drying a little bit. These and these, especially this section, for some reason, I just, nah. It doesn't thrill me. It's not terrible, but it doesn't thrill me either. I may want to do something there. Oh, there you go, Janet. She said, I uninstalled and reinstalled my app and it fixed it. I thought I might have to. Thank you. You're welcome. Well, good. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back. Janet, are you interested at all in seeing me do some art journaling videos that are silent? So silent art journaling videos, SAV. All right, this is gold. It's totally different than anything else I have going on this page. Do I want to do it? Do I dare add some gold? I'm turning it so I have access to it differently. I may come in next to this black line. Yep, I think I like it. I'm not a huge fan of these painter's pens that you get at Walmart. I always struggle with them. They're not, I just get a Posca pen. I mean, the Posca pens are so superior to this. See how I have to keep playing with the ink or the paint that's inside to try to get it to come out. It's either one or the other. It's either feast or famine. Either it doesn't come out or it globs all over your page. There's very little consistency, I find, with these pens. I'm going to do the same thing. I just added a gold metallic line. I'm going to do the same thing, you know, a little bit of that in each section. Now, where do I want to do it here? Because I don't have much room. I think I'll just do it right above that black line, kind of like I did down there, even though I'm going to run into... Jeez Louise, come on, you. All right, I might have to do some shopping for Posca pens today, girls, because this painter's pen's driving me crazy. So I need gold. Look at, I'm trying to write gold here. It won't even stay wet enough. come on, for me to write gold, I wanted, what did I say, gray? Look at, I can't even write with this thing. It's driving me crazy. Gold, gray, maybe just metallic colors in general. So silver. If there's a metallic white, I would stinking love that. I'm going to look for those later. I do have, this one is a shimmer. It's, excuse me, they call it a glitter effect. Pink, and it's like, I love this glitter pink. I discovered, like, I forgot that I had it, and then I was like, man, I love the way the shimmer works on this pen. This pink, unfortunately, is too wild for this page, but I really do love this glitter rose. So I'm going to look for some more Posca pens that have glitter. Okay, I got a little bit there. I've got a little bit, I'm going to add some up here. So I'm turning the book because now I have wet paints in different areas and I don't want to smear any of them in a bad way. So I'm going to add a little bit of this gold up here. In that way, I am kind of symmetrical. If I do it in one spot, I do tend to want to do it in the other spots too. Like I had it here, I have it here, now I'm going to put it here. And that way I am kind of not terribly loose, right? This is really, really plain, but so cloudy and beautiful. I love it. I pulled out, and I have not used this yet, my Stabilo All, and I'm not going to. I'm going to put it aside, and I think I'm going to leave it like this. Tell me what you think. And so I would love to hear from you, like, because there's no right or wrong, right? But how do you feel about unfinished journal pages? For now, for me, this feels unfinished, but a couple of things. Number one, I could always come back and add more later, so I could finish it later. So that frees up your time. Like if you have a limited amount of time, it's okay to walk away from a page that's unfinished. So that's number one. Number two, if I walk away from this now, which I'm going to do, I am even going to stamp a date on it. The date, because maybe I'll come back to it and add more later, but I want to know when I started it. I may come back to this later with the full intent of adding more to it and decide I like it just the way it is. And that's my art journal spread, and I'm not going to do anything more with it. Although I would really like to put some little words or phrases on there, and that can be done later. It can be done later tonight. It can be done 2 months from now. It can be done a year from now. I would love to get into the mindset of opening up my art journal and working on a page and not pigeonholing myself or requiring of myself that I finish that page, that I can just go in the book and play with my pens, my markers, my colors, my stencils, my textures, and not feel like I have to do more than that. I've been, unfortunately, in a way, it's unfortunate that by having a creative business that teaches, okay? So hear me out on this. So because I've had a creative page for 9 years now, where I'm teaching people how to create and encouraging people to create on a regular basis, the push, especially from groups, if you're part of a group or you're part of an event, the push usually is to finish the project in the 45 minutes. You want to have it started and you want to completely finish it in 45 minutes so people can see how to make the complete project. That has unfortunately trained my brain in a way that I have to do that every time I create, even in my own personal creative time. And I don't like that. I would really prefer to have a much looser, free, creative time where I'm not feeling any pressure to do anything specific, say, finish the whole thing all at once. I would love to have a book full of markings that I can continue to go to those pages at my free will and just add to them and change them or leave them alone, just depending on what I feel like doing for the moment, so that it's not a class. Like when you go to school and the teacher tells you have to do this, this, and this, and this assignment. It's not an assignment. It's meant to be creative play. So I'm not being graded on it. I'm not being judged on it. I'm not going to earn something or not earn something if I finish it. So in that regard, it's unfortunate that being part of so many events over the years has kind of trained my brain to finish completely every time I open my art journal. And I personally want to get away from that. So you may see me do more of these pages where it's going to encourage all of us when we sit down for a half hour just to play and not worry about the outcome. Okay, so I would love to hear what you think about that. This little heart keeps popping out of here, like as I'm talking and playing with this and talking to you. So I feel like it just wants to be part of this page. I'm gonna put it here because it keeps popping off and like screaming for attention. I'm gonna put this little heart that I cut out the other day, and I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. I'm gonna put it right there just because it keeps popping off of there, driving me crazy. Do what you do when you want to do it. Exactly, Rusty. Exactly. So you guys may see me do more of that. I actually just told, so I'm part of the Crafty Bunch right now, which gives us the opportunity to be part of 2 events every month or more that get shared in the Crafty Bunch. And I actually just told Cheryl Parrish from Mama P's Crafty Creations, I just told her that I pay by quarter. So I have 1 month left in the quarter that I paid for to be part of that group. And I told her I'm letting it go. I'm not going to do it anymore because I do feel like those events really squash my creativity and they put a pressure on me that causes me to not enjoy it so much. So I'm going to let go of the Crafty Bunch. If they invite me to be a guest, I would love that. I do love to collaborate with people, but my goal is to be more free when I create and to encourage you guys to be the same. I think it's hard for me to tell you that, and then every time you see me do a project, I complete it from start to finish in one sitting. We don't have the luxury to do that all the time. None of us do. None of us do. So if I can show you more often creating in art journals and junk journals and not finishing the project in its entirety, I think that encourages all of us to just be more loose and free in our creative time. So anyway, love to hear your perspective, your thoughts, your reactions to that. Like I try to tell you guys, you're not really going to offend me, with your reactions, as long as you're kind when you say them, like, oh, I can see where you're coming from, but I think this. I'm okay with that if you share that, because I love to hear from you. So share your comments and reactions as you're watching this. If you're catching the replay, let me know. I keep putting my finger in gold. It's already there. All right, let's do this as a way of, let's not waste that gold. Oh, and I got some pink in there too. Look at that. Yeah, this will be my next journal spread, right? Because I'm going to be gluing these 3 pages together and then tearing out 3. So actually, before I go, I'm going to smear all of this on this page. Just as a way of not wasting. Let's do it. I'm going to take these colors and we're just going to, that's just clear medium. Look at all this paint that would go to waste if I didn't do something with it. Let's just slap it down. Why not? Slap her down. But that's basically our session today. I'm just going to do this. I still have the camera going, so I'm just going to leave it and do this. All right, hold on. We're going to glue. I may do 4 this time because, woo, that's wet. I'm not going to glue these right now, but these will end up glued together. I'm going to tear out 3. I don't want to waste all that pink, but I want to know where is the next section. Let's tear out 3. And then, oh my gosh, those got wet real quick. And then this will be a journal spread. So I'm going to try to use up what I got here. I do not like covering up my words though, so I try to spread that out. I'm leaving these here. I'll tear them off later. That tells me that I already tore pages off, those little remnants of those pages. So I'm going to leave those there, and I'll tear them out before I do the next journal spread. I have almost no white. I have no liquid. I have a little bit of the aloe, a little bit of the gray, and a little bit of purple still. There's a lot left here to use, and I don't know that I want to keep covering these pages. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use it up somehow. Here's my student's dictionary. Let's highlight some words here with these colors. Submit, subterfuge, submerge, submarine, subliminal. I like subliminal. Let's pick that one. So maybe I'll end up using this somehow as a word on a ATC card or junk journal page, art journal page. I just don't want to waste this paint, so. I don't like the word subterfuge. I don't even know, what does it mean? A device or plan by which one can hide an objective. Oh, didn't know. Now we know. I want to keep subliminal, so I'm going to cover up everything else, and then that will be the highlighted word there. Oh, there we go. I have just a little bit of paint left. I got to make it go all the way to the end here. Ah, come on. I don't want to take out more. There we go. That's better. I might have to add a little bit of the gray. So if I'm going to do it down here, I better do it up top too, right? Because that feels more natural to me. The parts that are peeking through, I'm going to cover with a little bit of gray. Because the whole idea is to highlight just one word on the page and then use it somehow in your creative endeavors. So we have subliminal. That's what's showing. Totally random. I don't know why. It's just the one page, the one word on that page that I wanted to keep. That could be fun to work into a journal page or something later. Okay, I like it. I have a little bit of gray left and a little bit of spot showing here of other words. I might just dry brush some around it. There. All right, we did that one. Now I have purple left. Let's find a new page to play with. Oh, this one has, oh, I put, you can see that. I coated that with some medium already, so I won't use those. We're into T, timely title, tingle, tinker, tinsel, timber, tiptoe, tired. Oh, let's do tired. I don't know that I'll get this whole page done though, because I don't think I have that much paint. So what I'm going to do, tear this out. That's really wet and still drying. And then I'm going to work just with this. And tired is right at the middle of the page. So what if I did that? Because then I could just use that part of the page. I don't have to use the whole thing. I don't think I'm going to have enough of this to go around. We're highlighting tired, girls. Who's tired? Girls, I slept last night. Just as an aside, let me tell you, I went to bed at because of the time change, not all of my clocks have been changed. So it was either 6 or 7, I don't remember. 6 or 7 o'clock, and I did not get up until 6:15. And I woke up and I was like expecting to bound out of bed with energy, and I did not. So that was rather depressing this morning. A little bit disappointing that my body, even though I slept like 11 hours, I got up a few times to go to the bathroom, but even though I was in bed for 11 hours, I guess I do have some extra here, I did not wake up bounding with energy. And what is up with that? Like, stop it. This body of mine. Such a traitor. Okay. We could always add more later of a different color, but we got tired highlighted there. There. All right, I'm going to let it dry. It's going to go back in my dictionary when I'm looking for dictionary pages later. That'll get used. I'm going to spray this right now to keep it wet. And then when I'm off camera with you, I'm going to go bring that to my laundry room and clean that. Ladies, as always, I love your company. I always take several days to finish things. My mind goes to other things constantly. Gwen, I'm glad you take the time to do that then. I'm glad you have that freedom. I just think it's such a beautiful thing. I think it really is. And I encourage you guys to not, even though you see us try to start and finish in a 45-minute session or whatever it is that we're doing, I think I put, how did I get that there? I don't want you guys to feel that pressure. I want to encourage you more to just let your crafty sessions be loose and free without a ton of pressure to do or accomplish anything. This is not a place where we have to accomplish a certain number of things. All right, I'm loving this page. It is very different. It's very interesting. I love the cloudy. I love the white polka dots most. I love the gold streak going through it. I'm going to leave it for now, and we'll just come back to it later. You guys. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks for saying that. Love you, girls. Have a blessed day.